Making a triumphant return to the playoffs after a 7-year absence. Sipe was the NFL's top-rated quarterback, completing at least 50 passes to 4 different men. Defensively, what Cleveland lacks in consistency, they make up in intimidation. Hitters who force turnovers. Forcing turnovers an Oakland's strong point, the Raiders led the NFL in interceptions. Last week made life miserable for the Oilers. A wild card entry, they continue to be led by Jim Plunkett. He's the arm and Kenny King the offensive legs of a team that's won 10 of its last 12. We'll look at how the Raiders and Browns match up. Plus, we'll have a comical cut on the cardiac kids of Cleveland, a flippant flick about the heart-pounding heroics of a quick quarterback from the West and an upfront emotional coach from Brooklyn. That, plus highlights of yesterday's playoffs and a commentary from Newsweek's Pete Axthelm as we prepare for a playoff in the bitter cold of Cleveland, today on NFL 80. Sports presents NFL 80, an inside look at professional football and a preview of today's playoff game. Good afternoon and welcome to NFL 80. I'm Bryant Gumbel. This is Sunday number 18 of the NFL season, Sunday number 2 of Pete Rozell's second season. We've got a very good playoff game on tap. It matches the AFC Central champion Cleveland Browns going against the Oakland Raiders, and the star may well be the weather. It's evoking memories of the '67 game played in the cold of Green Bay. As pertains to that game, Oakland, the wild card entry, Cleveland, champions of the AFC Central. A lot of stars on both sides, but the central theme in today's game could well be the weather. Let's go out and check on the conditions with Don Crickey and John Brody.
Thank you, Bryant. The weather is a fearsome presence here in Cleveland. This was the scene yesterday. A tarpaulin covered the playing field. It came off today, but when it did, it was a frozen playing surface. This is no day at the beach in Cleveland. It's going to be tough here. John Brody, in your many years as a quarterback in the National Football League, I know you saw some plenty of tough days. Anything like this?
I don't think the number up on the thermometer is the indicator. I played when it was 0 degrees, but there's a 35-mile-an-hour wind chill factor. I've never been in situations like this. Those players are going to have to change a lot of what they do structurally. Patterns will change. A lot of things will develop.
Well, they came out trying different shoes. They tried a soft-soled shoe they got from Canada. They used that in the Canadian Football League. A lot of them didn't like that. We're going to see how it's going to work out very shortly. Now let's go down to Mike Adamle on the field.
Well, Don and John, Cleveland's cardiac kids seem to be this year's Destiny's children as they've thrilled the fans here with their improbable play. The Raiders, on the other hand, well, it was supposed to be a rebuilding year, yet they're in the playoffs, and they traded quality players for future draft choices. For a matchup of today's game, let's take a look at how the Raiders and Browns match up. Perhaps playing their last game in Alameda County Stadium in what was Bum Phillips' last game as Oiler head coach, the Raiders sacked Kenny Stabler 7 times in a 27-7 wild card win. Al Davis loved what he saw as his pride and poise gang shut down the vaunted 2 tight end offense. Quarterback Lester Hayes, number 37, had a day that he can tell his grandchildren about. 2 sacks and 2 interceptions. This one a 20-yard touchdown return which sealed the victory. Quarterback Jim Plunkett completed only 8 passes on the afternoon, but 2 of them were for touchdowns. This 1-yard strike to Todd Christensen, and then this 44-yard salvo to Whippet Arthur Whittington. When all was said and done, the Raiders left the Oilers dejected. Said so long, Houston, and hello, Cleveland.
Well, one of the things we have to do is stop Sipe. He's had a tremendous year. He's completed 60% of his passes, throwing well over 500 passes. They have outstanding receivers, and we just have to do a good job in containing him because he is an elusive quarterback and gets rid of the ball quickly and can scramble. It's a different type quarterback than the one we just faced last Sunday.
We have to do a lot of things to beat the Browns. You know, on offense, they have an excellent passing attack in Brian Sipe, and they have a great core of wide receivers, and they have an excellent defense. I think what the Raiders have to do is go out and play Raider football and out-hit them and be very smart about the game and just play with a lot of intensity.
To stop Brian Sipe, we need to find a 7'1" basketball-type player with the big bombs that he's throwing that I've seen on films. I think that's the only way that we can defend him.
How do I rate the Cleveland offense is the question. It's an excellent offense, a lot of weapons. Sipe is a great passer. He can run well. Mike Pruitt's a powerful back. They've got 4 receivers with over 50 receptions. We got our hands full. And the Cleveland fans are just absolutely the greatest fans in the country. And 80,000 of them packed in that stadium. Forget it, it's going to be an explosion.
Well, Twos, you got that right. The Cleveland fans have waited 8 years for a playoff caliber team. Now they've got Super Bowl fever, and why not? In Brian Sipe, the Brownies have one of the NFL's great overachievers. On the season, 30 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards passing. Not bad for a guy scouts consider too small and too unorthodox to play in the NFL. Brian was at his best when the chips were down. He had a stable of capable wide receivers to go to, like the reliable Reggie Rucker, number 33. Or the angular, number 85, Dave Logan. Or the ageless wonder, number 35, Calvin Hill. On the ground, Greg Pruitt teamed up with 1,000-yard back Mike Pruitt to keep defenses honest. As did 1979 Heisman Trophy winner Charles White. The Browns play spirited defense, and although they gave up a lot of yardage in 1980, Cleveland defenders came up with enough big plays to reach today's playoff.
I think it's going to be a tough game. I hope it's high scoring on our part and low scoring on their part.
They played an entirely different team than the Cleveland Browns last week. Of course, we don't use the 2 tight end offense, and in order for them to blitz cornerbacks, they've got to bring them practically from the bench, so that's something that shouldn't be a part of this game. We pick up the blitz very well, and I think that I don't have to remind people that when a defense blitzes, they're handicapping themselves. They're putting themselves in a tough spot unless they get to the quarterback. But we've got an awfully good offensive line, and we pick up those blitzes, and there's going to be some people running loose in the secondary.
I describe Oakland's defensive back as like a mugging in Central Park on weekends in New York City, if you know what I mean. They're all over you. I think their assignments are to follow the man anywhere he goes, and that's probably including if he goes into the John, they probably want you to follow him there too. They're very good. In essence, they're very good.
There's an adage that speed kills, and it does. So in order to stop a guy with the speed of Cliff Branch, you got to beat him up. Hopefully we can get to him early enough so that he doesn't catch a big play on us.
Very brutal, intimidating, talkative. Game. Art Shell, I want you.
I'll tell you, Brian, Alzado's best weapon against Art Shell won't be boxing gloves. It might be ice skates.
Michael, it's an obvious fact the conditions are the same for both sides, but based on their style of play, do the conditions figure to hurt one team more than the other? If so, which team?
Not at all, Brian. I don't think it's going to benefit either team because the field is absolutely abysmal. And as far as the fans go, well, I don't think there's going to be many no-shows here, and that could benefit the Browns because there's going to be about 80,000 plus, and it's been a big help all year long.
Okay, Mike, we'll check in later. Get in out of the corner and bonus picks. How do you introduce a man who had a push yesterday? I never could answer that. So simply, here's Pete Axtell.
Thank you, Bryant. Now that we've had a look at the Cleveland Browns, I want to talk a little about the Oakland Raiders. A lot of people say that Jim Plunkett had a bad day last week, completed 8 passes. I maintain that in Al Davis's conception of football, that's not a bad day. Al has gone back to the days of Darryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber. He doesn't want a guy to complete 18 out of 21 with the longest one for 12 yards. He wants the constant threat of the deep bomb. And he's got it now with Plunkett. He's got, as he puts it, he doesn't want respect, he wants fear. And he's got fear in the hearts of the opposition. I'd like the Raiders even better today if I knew that Al could get into the Cleveland Stadium and water the field like he does at home. But if he watered it in Cleveland, it wouldn't matter anyway because it would freeze immediately. Nevertheless, I give the Raiders a big shot today. They're one of my 2 bonus picks. I like the Raiders plus 3.5 against the Browns, and I like Atlanta minus 2.5 against Dallas. That brings up the question, what if the Raiders go all the way? And in the locker room, after the Super Bowl, Pete Rozelle has to hand the winning trophy to Al Davis, who has criticized him, made charges against him, and so forth. Well, I think the answer is When Rozelle hands that trophy toward Al, Lester Hayes will intercept it.
Lester Hayes just might. He's coming off a big week. Last week against Houston, Lester Hayes, 2 sacks and 2 interceptions. And how cold is it in Cleveland? Well, you've heard of bands warming up, right? Well, when the band in Cleveland warms up, the band in Cleveland warms up. By jumping up and down, it is bitter cold, and that's what the Raiders and Browns have to face. Big ball game on tap. We'll be back with you at halftime with highlights. But right now, we're getting set for the kickoff. NFL 80 continues. We go down on the field right after these messages from your local station.
The Cleveland Browns got here with a great offense behind quarterback Brian Sipes passing. He threw for 30 touchdowns this year, had one of the great seasons of any quarterback in National Football League history. The Raiders, an interesting contrast. It's been a great defense that's carried them to this AFC divisional playoff game. Last week against Houston, the great Lester Hayes picked off 2, took this one back for a touchdown. Browns got here with offense, the Raiders with defense. And the weather is the 12th man in this game today at Cleveland. Temperature at game time 0. Wind chill this morning 37 degrees below 0. So the weather is a tremendous and awesome presence that is very definitely going to affect play. Good afternoon, everyone, from Cleveland Stadium. I'm Don Crickey with John Brody. John, the Raiders with their defense, the Browns with their offense. But really, when you look back at the outset of the season, it's surprising now how well they did. A lot of people were picking them third in their respective divisions.
Don, I think the reason they're both here is that they both showed that they were contenders, number one, but that they played well in the latter half of the season. Jim Plunkett, first for Oakland, came on and got them all started. Their defense picked it up after he got the momentum rolling. On the other side of the coin, Brian Sipe had one of the great years it's ever been in the National Football League. Statistics only tell a small part of that. So for both these teams to be here when they were picked to be mediocre and last is an accomplishment in itself.
Interesting attitudes on the two teams. They're both very loose clubs. Brian Sipe, the Cleveland quarterback, says everybody talks about him being a loose player under pressure. He said, our whole team is a loose team under pressure. We've got guys, they all want the ball when the game's on the line, and the Raiders are always loose. These Pirates come in here ready to take on anybody, anytime, in any conditions.
Well, they're going to be a little puckered, I'll tell you, when they come out here. I don't care how loose they were in the locker room, which they were. Their style of personality has not changed. The people have changed greatly. I think the team that keeps their composure and does the things under awful conditions that nobody expects them to do will come out on top, and I don't know who that'll be.
Well, this is the coldest playoff game since that famous Dallas-Green Bay game back in '67. It is really something, but a huge crowd is here, and we're just about set to go with the Raiders and the Cleveland Browns.
Lady is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show produced by David Stern, directed by Bob Levy and Ken Fouts. Technical directors Sal Nagita, Bruce Berquist. Associate directors Mary Duda, John Filippelli. Associate producer David Neal. Coming up, it's the Oakland Raiders and the Cleveland Browns on NBC.
NBC Sports presents the best of the National Football League, the American Football Conference Divisional Playoff. Today from Cleveland Stadium, it's the Oakland Raiders versus the Cleveland Browns. This is it, big game day on NBC. The Cleveland Browns and the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders coming in having already won the AFC wild card game. They come in with a record now this season of 12-5. The Cleveland Browns, champions of the tough AFC Central, 11-5. The Browns, called by their owner Art Modell a team of overachievers under Sam Ratigliano. You very seldom, John, hear any players speak as glowingly about a head coach as do the Cleveland Browns as Sam Ratigliano.
Well, Don, I think he has turned it around so convincingly in such a short period of time. He's a sort of fellow that the bigger the game, the more enthusiastic he is and the more he gets you ready to play it. I don't think he's one of those who concerns himself with worrying about the outcome so much as preparing his group for the game itself. And I'd say on the other side of the coin, Tom Flores does the same thing, and the personality of the two teams is such, I think it's a good indication of why they're here.
Well, Flores has done a great job, too. You don't hear enough about Tom Flores in his second year as the head coach of the Raiders, but in all those great seasons, the Oakland Raiders have had 16 consecutive winning seasons. No team in the National Football League has done that in the history of the league. Flores has been the offensive coordinator. He's planned all the game plans over the years, the recent years, and now he's the head man. The Raiders are ready, you can be sure, and so are the Browns. Wind chill, minus 30-some-odd degrees, 37 at the outset. The up back takes the kickoff. Doesn't get too far with it. Todd Christensen got the ball. Got across the 30-yard line. He'll pick 9 for an average of over 51 yards. Kicked that one 44. Brian Sipe, the #1 quarterback this season in the NFL at quarterback. Mike Pruitt, a big back from Purdue, and Calvin Hill, the veteran, will be the starting runners for the Browns. Dave Logan, Reggie Rucker, and Ozzie Newsome, all with over 50 receptions, the receivers. Good offensive line. They don't let Sipe get hurt very often. Deacon, Shepard, DeLeo, and Delamalier. And Cody Ryan. So the Browns come out pitching. As you were pointing out, John, they got here throwing the ball, and Sipe's ready to go despite the weather.
I don't think there's going to be any change of the way they attack, whether or not they throw the ball a lot. They will throw the ball an awful lot because Oakland would love to have a team running the ball on 1st and 10 because guys like Matusik, Kinlaw, you name it, those down linemen have been very strong against the run all year. They've shut teams down to 40 yards a game less than they did last year.
There's the defensive secondary. The Raiders have intercepted more than any team in the NFL. They have 35 interceptions as a team.
When you have a guy like Brian Sipe, to have a halfback like Calvin Hill is something you just can't replace. When you catch 50 balls as a halfback, you know you've helped some.
Calvin Hill has been a great one. 6 touchdown receptions this year for the Browns. They call him the pinch hitter. He comes in and hits the home run for them, making those receptions. 3rd down and 10. Sipe's only completed 1 of 6. Look at the interception by the great Lester Hayes. The man's a phenomenal football player. Lester Hayes with his 16th interception of this season. He had 2 last week and 13 in the regular season, and he had 4 other ones that were negated by penalties.
Don, when you see Lester Hayes, he's playing bump and run. Now, if you're a quarterback, you say, hey, he's playing bump and run all over the field. I've got to be able to get to Reggie Rucker. He's got him one-on-one all over the field. He might even fall down. Lester Hayes intimidates people. It's why he's gained 13 interceptions this year, is because teams are reluctant to let him get away with that. However, he's winning at his own game, having the greatest year of any cornerback for several years. He and Hendricks have been so outstanding, the Raiders have just gone with him.
Well, they challenged Lester Hayes, and they came up empty, and now the Raiders hit the ball back. The ball again, this time starting out at their 30. That was only a 31-yard punt by Ray Guy.
He got a bad bounce, though. It could have gone right down inside the 10. Nobody was there to field it.
Actually hopped back toward the Raiders. Sipe on 1st down, looking long. Man is out there. Reggie Rucker had his fingertips on the ball. So we've had a lot of near misses in the game as both quarterbacks challenging deep, despite playing conditions with temperatures minus 30 chill factor.
And who were they challenging? They're challenging Lester Hayes. He just comes up with an interception. The next time they get the ball, they say, let's have one more go at Lester. If he wants to get his 15th of the year, let him try. We think we can beat him. And a lot of receivers do beat Lester Hayes. It's just that he beats them on occasion, too.
Actually, Lester, John, his next one's going to be his 17th now after what he's done in the playoffs. He has 3 already in the playoffs. To go with his 13 in the regular season. What a year.
He's had about 6 drops and 4 called back, too.
Actually, a 95-yard interception return for a touchdown against Miami, negated by a penalty. He's really had his problems. Barr hit it, sidewinder, no problem on the extra point. 7-6, Oakland leads. 6 seconds left in the half. As Sipe throws long. Logan's going for the ball. Lester Hayes intercepted another one. The man is absolutely phenomenal. 17 interceptions he has this season. 4 in the playoffs. Lester Hayes of Texas A&M.
He's playing the only way he should play at this time. He was playing 25 yards deep. They figure if we're going to have a go at it, let's try him again. See if he can come down with this one.
Well, I know what I'd do with him, John. I'd put him on offense, too. Lester would be going both ways for me today because he can catch it better than anybody out there.
He does pretty well just going the way he does. Here goes Logan down the field. You know he's not going to get behind Hayes. A lot of fellas be content just to bat it down, not Lester. Put another skin on the wall.
So the Raiders rally back and take the lead. That's the end of the first half. With the score, the Oakland Raiders 7, the Cleveland Browns 6.
Very close by the spot. No, that's correct.
All right, they start up in Cleveland.
I wouldn't feel too good if I was an Oakland Raider right now.
They are ready for another Cleveland Brown finish. Fasten all seatbelts. Fasten all seatbelts. Here we go. Down the stretch. The Cleveland Browns with 2:20 to play. Brian Sipe takes a look. Throws it downfield, incomplete. Came in on the one hop. It'll be 2nd down and 10. He was going to Reggie Rucker. And the game clock is down to 2:17.
We've mentioned what a difficult job both cornerbacks have had all day long. Dwayne Osteen and Lester Hayes. They've been put in one-on-one situations all day. Go along with Mike Davis. Now they're in a 5-back defense, but these fellas have had to play those wide receivers for Cleveland man-to-man all day long. Sipes had plenty of time to throw. Whatever way it goes, it's been a heck of a performance on their part.
A throw down the field. The ball is caught by Ozzie Newsome, and he almost broke it. Ozzie Newsome gets out to the 44-yard line. And on 2nd and 10, the Cleveland Browns get the big gainer. And the clock winds down to 2 minutes.
Don, anybody can fall down in conditions like this, but watch Sipe hang in there. You talk about great quarterbacks. He got absolutely level, but still had an ability to get the ball off down the field to Ozzie Newsome. We mentioned one-on-one coverage. Otis McKinney falls down, but watch this play. To get a hold of Ozzie Newsome, he saved the touchdown. That would have put Cleveland on top. Instead, they've got good field position, but they're 2 points down.
30 below zero in Cleveland, Ohio, but the heat's on now. 2 minutes left to play, and the Cleveland Browns on a 29-yard pass play have the ball out to the 43-yard line. John, what about the strategy of Oakland?
Okay, you can say, why didn't they go for the field goal? They were not automatic. They've made about less than 40% of those tries. They know if they can keep the ball, they can then run out the clock. If not, they have to kick off. Field position would have been good, and Cleveland still has to score. They had to move it just as far to kick a field goal as they would have had to make a touchdown.
Sipe lets it go long and overthrows Greg Pruitt.
You know, so often, Don, you get into strategy situations and you don't take the field conditions into effect. It would have been a very safe choice for Flores to say, okay, kick the field goal, and then we're taking the safe way out. We can grab ourselves a 5-point lead, which wasn't automatic. But if we can make 1 inch, we can gain control of the ball, run the clock down, and then we'll put the icing on the cake. I'd say it would have been easier to pick up 1 inch than kick a field goal in that situation, so I've got to agree with it no matter which way it comes out.
1:54 left to play. 1:54 left to go. The Cleveland Browns come out. 2nd down and 10 at their 43. And they trail 14-12. Sipe hemmed in, grabbed by Big Bear John Matuzak. They blew it dead at the 45, so it's going to be 3rd down and about 9 now.
I would expect them to call a timeout. They've got 3 remaining. That's 2 of them.
They do. 1:48 left to play, and the Cleveland Browns signal for and are allotted a timeout.
You know, Don, so many times the team will ask, and I've mentioned that Oakland has been playing bump and run, man-to-man defense all afternoon. It's the personality of Oakland to do that. Lester Hayes is one of the few fellas that can nullify a receiver in a bump and run and still be quick enough to catch up with the ball after it's thrown. And for them to go in a zone at this point would be totally against their personality and make it very tough. They're still keeping a free safety back there. They figure that's the way to operate.
They didn't take a timeout. 1:24 left to go. 3rd down and 10. Sipe throws. Incomplete. Oh, there's a penalty marker down. And it'll be a 1st down for the Cleveland Browns at the 44-yard line. Reggie Rucker was interfered with.
You can see the 2 officials saw the play simultaneously. One of them thought it was a penalty, one of them didn't. The flag was thrown. He had a perfect angle on the play. Looked to me as if Osteen got away with a little something. Those fellas are watching close.
Clock, as you see, down to 1:19 left to play. The season ends for either the Cleveland Browns or the Oakland Raiders.
Illegal contact, number 35, at 5 yards and a 1st down.
Dwayne Osteen bumped and ran a little bit farther downfield, and you're allowed to.
What he did is he waited on him, Don. He waited on him down about the 10, 12-yard line, was going to jam his route, and made contact. And that was the call. It was not interference. Contact down there at 10 yards.
But the Browns would have come up with 4th and 10 had that penalty not come down. Now they have it 1st and 10 at their 49-yard line. 1:19 to go. 14-12 Oakland.
Monty Jackson in the ball game for the first time.
Sipe stands in, throws. Greg Pruitt caught the ball inside the 30. Greg Pruitt, who's had an injury-troubled year, the great back from Oklahoma, goes down the field and goes up in the air and comes down with the ball at the 28.
They're picking the vulnerable area. They've got Osteen in the middle of the field playing man-to-man on a back. Sipe is not going to let that go untried. Osteen's had a lot of success. He's lost a few throughout the afternoon. But you can see he and Mike Davis are having all the trouble they can have inside, underneath. They're going to try to go to Ozzie Newsome or they're back.
Greg Pruitt's caught 5 balls today for 37 yards. That was the biggest one, as the Browns now have the ball at the 28-yard line with 1:12 left to go. Cleveland trailing by 2. Sipe looks at a blitz, lofts the ball up. Ozzie Newsome catches the ball, but he's ruled out of bounds at the 20-yard line. And the game clock is down to 1:06 to play. It's something.
It is. It's almost expected. When you see the Browns with the ball at home with 2 minutes to play, this game is just getting underway. 2 points down. Field goal is not a certainty if you get it within the 10-yard line. You can recall they missed an extra point. They've missed 2 field goals from close range going the exact same way they're going now. If they have a chance, they're going to try to get it in the end zone.
2nd down and 10 coming up for the Cleveland Browns. Rucker and Dave Logan deployed wide to the right. Newsome is split out to the left at the top of your screen on 2nd down and 10. A draw play to Mike Pruitt. He's inside the 20-yard line. He's down inside the 15-yard line. He's down to the 9-yard line, to the 14-yard line. And he has a first down for Cleveland. Big call and a big result.
They call timeout. They've still got 2 left, though. 56 seconds left to play. What do? You run the ball in the line and think Cockriff can go down the field, kick it from 30 yards. They've got 2 timeouts left, but really, Don, in my opinion, they better try and score it. Sipe will throw it in the cheap seats if anybody's covered, but I think it's easier to complete a pass than it would be to convert a field goal.
Short field goal attempts are no good deal today in this cold. Don Cockcroft, 2 of 4 today.
If you're an offensive quarterback, I will not try Lester Hayes, though.
They've done that a couple times and come up empty, and Lester's come up with the ball twice on interceptions. Don Cockcroft, a 13-year veteran. Most of these Browns have never been to the playoffs, but Don Cockcroft has been there 6 times with the Cleveland Browns.
You can tell the veterans, he's sitting on the bench. Let him be up warming up into the net.
Cleveland with 2 timeouts left, Oakland with 1. Our thanks to our spotters, John Betchko and Pete Halbin, and NBC statistician Steve Danwood with us today. President of NBC Sports, Arthur Watson, is here. So are over 77,000, less than 2,000 no-shows.
That's support. It's great. It's been a great football game, no matter how it turns out, Don, under the most inclement conditions I've ever seen.
There's been a lot of great plays in very, very adverse conditions. That's true. Now it's 1st and 10 for Cleveland. Back to the run. This time Oakland's looking for it. Brian Sipe signals for and gets a timeout with 49 seconds to play. Mike Pruitt carried the ball.
I think the last time they called timeout, they came over disgusted, said, let's see if we can break a draw on 1st down. He's going over to the sideline, in my opinion, to try and get that ball thrown upstairs.
That end of the field has had sunshine on it most of the day. There's a little less frost on it than the other end, the closed end, where there's a lot of ice down there.
Yeah, we've seen 1 ball mishandled for a fake field goal. We've seen 2 balls missed on field goals. We've seen an extra point hit the uprights, and I haven't seen anything go through down there.
49 seconds left to play in the game. The Browns, Brian Sipe, Sam Ratigliano. What a combination they've been. Sipe was on the bench when Ratigliano came here. Ratigliano waiting a long time to get his head shot. Peter Hadhazy, the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, told Art Modell when he was interviewing for coaches, he said, save yourself a lot of time interviewing. Talk to Bertigliano first. I think he's your guy.
Yep. All right. They've got Cleo Miller in the ball game for the first time in quite a while. He's an excellent blocker, and that's why they've got him, so I don't expect him to throw the ball. I'm sure the discussion took place. Sam's elected to get as much as he can on the ground, I believe.
Right up the middle. 49 seconds to go.
Wrong.
Into the end zone. Was it intercepted?
I think Oakland got it.
Oakland intercepted the ball.
Michael Davis is the man that picked it off. That's just a great play at a very critical time. It even looked like Newsom might have come up with it. The Raiders didn't believe it for about 5 or 10 seconds. It was a one-handed stab. He was one-on-one with Ozzie Newsom. How he came up with that ball is a miracle.
41 seconds left and the Raiders intercept. And they might have iced this one, no pun intended.
Newsom, look, he thinks the ball's going to get to him. Okay, here's Davis. All day long, he's been one-on-one with a free safety, but so what? You're not going to get that much help because he can't get started. Newsom's trying to run his pattern. Davis cuts in front of him, picks the ball off. That's just a fantastic interception.
It really was. Mike Davis intercepts. Lester Hayes had 2 earlier. And 41 seconds are now separating the Oakland Raiders from the AFC Championship game next Sunday at San Diego. 37 seconds left, 36. Browns call a timeout. 36 seconds left to play. NFL report is next. We'll be talking to some of those Oakland Raiders if they prevail in this game, and right now the odds are greatly in their favor after the brilliant interception in the end zone by Mike Davis, strong safety in his 3rd year out of Colorado.
I'll say they're in their favor. All the quarterback has to do right now is fall down on one knee. The Browns have 2 timeouts left. That is not enough to stop the clock from running off 36 seconds. And I'm sure that Sam Bertigliano is going to be in a position of catching a lot of flack because he didn't go for the safe decision, which would have been to try and put Cockcroft on the spot to kick a field goal. But in retrospect, I have to agree with him. Brian Sipe, I think, had as good a chance to throw a touchdown pass as he did for Cockcroft to kick a field goal. Now, that's up for anybody's conjecture, and it's easy to have 20/20 vision after the fact. But in fact, if he had his decision to do it over again, considering the outcome, obviously he'd have a go at the field goal, but he doesn't. That's what put head coaches on the spot. He's been right an awful lot of the time. This time it didn't work out that way.
Well, the Browns are here because of Brian Sipe and the year he's had, but now the Oakland Raiders coming up, as the Oakland Raiders have done so many times over the years. In the big games, they're so tough to beat. The winningest consecutive years franchise in the history of the league. 16 straight winning seasons at Oakland. And now the wild card Raiders, as the clock winds down inside 20 seconds, are ready to head to San Diego in the AFC Championship game against their arch rivals from the AFC West, the San Diego Chargers. And you'll see that next Sunday, beginning at 4:30 here on NBC. What a victory for the Oakland Raiders, coming from behind twice in this game. And they win it as the clock goes down and out.
And let me make one comment, Don. The Cleveland Browns were knocked out of the playoffs the same way they got there. In the last couple minutes, Brian Sipe brought them back, got points on the board, brought them into victory time and time and time again. Today, he died by it.
We'll be back at Cleveland Stadium with the Oakland Raiders, the 14-12 victor, right after this. Raiders, coming from behind twice in the game, have defeated the Cleveland Browns 14-12 in this divisional playoff game. And so now the Raiders become, I believe, the first wild card team to advance to the conference championship game.
The Raiders met the Browns in Cleveland last Sunday with a temperature a knee-knocking 1 degree above zero. With a wind chill factor of 37 below, it was the coldest postseason game in 13 years. But Oakland shirt sleeve Dave Dalby matched his California cool against the elements. Cleveland coach Sam Bertigliano discussed field conditions with a noted meteorologist and football forecaster. Browns quarterback Brian Sipe, number 17, longed for a dry ball and unfettered fingers to catch it. Sipe was also hampered by the Mad Stork, Ted Hendricks, number 83, Oakland's 5-time All-Pro linebacker, who is enjoying his finest season. Allowed to freelance by the Oakland coaching staff, Hendricks roamed the field, discarding blockers and disrupting both the pass and the run. The Browns defense made some big plays of its own as Clarence Scott dropped Jim Plunkett on a safety blitz. But the Browns' biggest play of the day was made by cornerback Ron Bolton, number 28. His 42-yard return of a second-quarter Plunkett pass for the game's first score warmed the cockles of the hearts of the frozen faithful. The fans were grateful not only for the touchdown, but also for the chance to move around. The extra point was blocked, but the Browns led 6-0. Jim Plunkett retaliated immediately, hitting Raymond Chester to set up a touchdown that gave Oakland a 7-6 lead. With the Browns' defense denying the perimeter of the field to the Raiders' dangerous receivers, Plunkett found the middle vulnerable. Tight end Chester's 27-yard reception set up Oakland's second touchdown, scored by the man who plowed in for both Raider touchdowns, Mark Van Eegen, number 30. Van Eegen may be the most unpublicized back in the NFL, but he has averaged over 1,000 yards for the 4 seasons prior to this one. With Cleveland having added 2 Don Cockraw field goals, the score now stood 14-12, Oakland. The Raiders' brilliant defense meant to keep it that way. Lester Hayes made his 17th interception of the season, the all-time NFL high for 1 year. Oakland was unable to hold its breath as Cleveland mounted a late charge. The Cardiac Kids once again sent pulses skipping. Greg Pruitt caught Brian Sipe's pass with less than a minute left in the game to spur hopes of yet another miracle. With 2nd and 9 on Oakland's 13-yard line, Retigliano and Sipe decided to go for the touchdown, since the brutal weather had already nullified 3 field goal attempts. Cleveland may be a conservative city, but its coach is a gambler.
Red slot right. Slot right. The red slot right. Your effects stay 88. Let's go.
Brian Sipe had pulled countless games out of the fire, but Mike Davis iced this 14-12 win for the Raiders. There was no joy in Mudville, for Mighty Casey had struck out. Another look at the game-saving play shows Sipe had sure footing and good protection. He simply threw a bad pass, something he hasn't done often in amassing over 4,000 yards this year. Sipe joined Joe Namath and Dan Fouts as the only men to reach the 4,000-yard mark. Cleveland has become synonymous with last-second victories. But Oakland has been winning heart-stoppers since the Cardiac Kids were in grade school. The Raiders, only 9-7 last year, can graduate to their third Super Bowl with a victory over the San Diego Chargers this week in the more agreeable climate of Southern California.